Sydney Bowles here with Town Administrator Paul Sagarino for our monthly check-in. Paul, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Sydney.
So, it is like high summer and there's still a lot going on. So we're going to try to get to some stuff that's been going on in the last month since we've had you on. I'm very excited about a new compost initiative. So starting now, was it active?
Yeah, I believe it's getting ready to start up. We just started to roll it out and notify the public, but it's basically a partnership with Black Earth Compost. Basically, the more residents sign up for it, residents would pay themselves for this service, but what it's intended to do is to remove compostable materials from our trash supply and put them to good use at a compost facility so they can be reused. We're really excited for the partnership. Some members of the community have been asking about it, and in fact, many members of the community are already participating in the service to begin with. And I think, you know, after a couple of years, we'll be able to determine how much compostable material is actually getting taken out of our trash supply, and we can actually put a dollar figure as to how much it's saving the town, and then we can make some further adjustments from there as to whether it's something that we feel is worthwhile for the town to support financially because it'll lower the amount of trash going to the incinerator.
Interesting. So potentially, so right now, if I want to do this in my household, I'm going to have to pay. But if a lot of people do it and we can demonstrate that it's reducing the total amount of trash, theoretically,
yes,
the town could support it in the future.
Yeah, that's the idea.
Yeah.
Right now, I mean, I think they're giving us the residents a break for our marketing attempts and trying to get a lot of residents. The more residents that sign up, the lower the price goes. But I think once we get a little bit of data to how the program is working, I think then we can make some judgments about, you know, whether it's worthwhile for the town to sort of contribute to lower that cost for the residents. And again, depending upon how much trash is not going to the incinerator, I think would be the defining, determining factor as to, how much cost savings was available.
So for residents who might be interested, basically the way it works is you pay either a monthly or a 6-month subscription, either monthly or biweekly pickup. They send you, or you have to pay for like a little wheeled compost.
It's a tiny little, it looks like
They're
a recycling
so cute,
container.
honestly.
Yeah, it looks like
It's
a baby recycling container.
For your Cabbage Patch dolls. Like it's so cute.
And my understanding is that there's also bags that, compostable bags that you can use to line the little barrel so that it doesn't, pick up the smells and whatnot. And then they'll come by and pick it up and take it away.
So how long has the town been considering this? What was the process to get from, oh, maybe we do this, to it's happening?
Like I say, we've heard we had a big renewal with the trash contract, so we've been talking about trash a lot over the past year, and we've received a lot of feedback from the residents on trash in general. And also, a lot of great suggestions from residents as to, things that we could all do to keep the trash down and keep the cost down in the future. And this is one of the ideas that had come up. It had been in use as a private application, and we figured we would start with a partnership again, just so that we can assess the effectiveness of it. I still think it's a good program. Whether or not it saves a lot of trash going to the incinerator, I mean, it's definitely, every little bit helps, I think, so.
Yeah, I apologize. Like, if you don't have these numbers, that's fine, because it would make total sense to me if this is just too much to even imagine a scale that this could be on. Do you have any guess for what is potentially salvageable from the trash? Like, is it possible to imagine how big of an impact this could have?
Yeah, we don't really. Our assumption is that there's quite a bit of food that does go in the trash and compostable items. I think every year, more and more things become recyclable. Whether or not there's a market for those recyclables has been a problem over the past few years. But clearly they can take these items and reuse them, and I think they make the compost dirt, and they sell it on a commercial basis with all the items that they collect from people. So it's great.
But I guess I feel frustrated because I don't know is there a potential that we have 10% less trash, 40% less trash? Like, it's just, we don't know.
we're excited to see.
Yeah.
But like I say, think of it, we talk about trash in terms of tons. So think of how much leftover
Right.
food waste it takes to make a ton.
Right.
And, it's really, there's quite a bit of trash that's collected in town over the course of the year. So
I guess we'll see.
we will see. We're excited to just sort of see how it goes.
I'll ask you in our town administrator update in August of 2024. How about that?
Yeah, we'll definitely be staying on top of it, and we're as curious. We're
Yeah.
very curious to see what the results are.
Yeah. Another happening recently was the Department of Youth and Family Services has a new youth homelessness case manager. It's really exciting.
Yep. That hire was made in conjunction with an outstanding grant that the department got. All of our departments just do such a great job of tracking down beneficial grants to the town, and kudos to Youth and Family Services for their work on this one. It's a big one, $700,000 to try to work with prevent youth from becoming homeless. For the purposes of the grant, I believe we're talking about youth from the age of 17 to 25. We all know, anyone who knows someone who's 25, we still consider them to be youth. I know I do. And, a lot of kids get sent out into the real world when they're 18. Every family's a little different as to, what type of support that they can provide. And a lot of young folks are forced to become adults sooner than others. And, sometimes there becomes a potential for homelessness there, whether they're attending school or they're just not at a point where they can support. And I think that this program can provide rental assistance for up to 2 years to help someone in that age bracket be established and to maintain their residence while they're working to get on their feet. So it's a sad topic. We hate to think of anybody being homeless, let alone young people, but we're very grateful for the opportunity to try to provide some support to those individuals in the community.
Yeah, if you're just out of high school, maybe going to community college, working a job, you're looking at a one-bedroom apartment for $2,200 or something. That's just got to be a monumental ask.
You can't work enough because you're going to school to sort of make the money. So those are exactly the types of folks that may be falling into the gaps, as well as some different circumstances as well. But that's a very common one because, like I say, some kids, when they're 18, they get sent off into the world, and some kids get a little bit more support, later on into life, and every family's a little different. So,
third thing I want to talk to you about, some changes to town common reserving policy.
Yep.
So we recently heard, as it gets more that was a hard pivot, from youth homelessness to renting the common. Forgive me. As we're seeing more interest in reserving the common, there's maybe some interest in splitting it up into having half and half rentable, and into when you can ask to save the common. So what's going on? Yeah,
well, first off, as you know, we have a beautiful common. It really is
Sure
a
do.
jewel within the town, and it's just perfect for so many different events. And because we're in New England and weather isn't always cooperative, there's really a demand during the nice weather for use of the common. Think spring, summer, and what we found is that some of the groups that do reserve the common are smaller groups, and we figured that we could just make more opportunities for people to rent. It's becoming quite competitive on particular dates in the nice weather for events, and we felt that most of the groups were conducive to having two smaller events going on at the common at the same time, split it up into different sections, and as well as determining a system for people to reserve for the next year, because that, quite frankly, is getting turning into a real problem, because people see the weather and they say, hey, I need to have my event on a Saturday in June. Well, I think that's when most people want to have their event, on a day like that. So it's becoming a little bit competitive, and we just wanted to, work up with a way to make it more available by, spreading out the groups. Again, they have to be compatible. We can't have something that's loud and something that's quiet over here. We would have to put some thought into those type of things. But from what we can see, there's definitely more of an opportunity for more groups to use it at the same time.
I thought it was so funny. Lynn Mills, I didn't remember her position. She's the select board administrative assistant. Is that
Yes.
She was saying at the meeting the other day that, like, yeah, this is going to be a headache on that first working day of January when all the requests come in at the same time. But it sounds
Yeah.
like that's the trade-off is,
It is. I mean, you just have to come up with some system that's fair. And, folks were trying to book next year before we even get through this year. So those are the kinds of things that we were just trying to come out with a more logical way of allocating that in a fairer way rather than have someone say, yes, I want to sign up to reserve the common for the next, 10 years on, Saturday in July.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to avoid so that, everybody gets a fair crack at it. But we'll see how it goes. I mean, I'm not sure if there's any foolproof system, but we're
we'll see how this goes. Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that some folks were concerned about at the select board meeting was parking, that potentially with two groups there could be some overlap. Does that concern you?
I'm here a lot on the weekends, and, aside from those really major events, whether it's a Celebrate Burlington or the Food Truck Festival or Truck Day or things like that, that many of the groups that do use the common can be smaller groups. And, with the employees not here on the weekends, there's a lot of parking behind Town Hall. As we like to say, there's not always parking directly in front of where you go, but there really is quite a bit of parking in the town center. You may have to walk a couple of blocks from Human Services or the Grand View or Simon's Park,
Sure.
but there is quite a bit of parking there. It's just not right in front of the venue.
Sure. So another thing we can check back in on next year, see how it's going.
Absolutely.
Sounds good. Okay. Last thing I want to talk to you about. This is I feel like this was a while ago. The Collins Center communication study results came back in.
Yes.
Basically, there were a number of recommendations. I think to summarize, they basically said the town of Burlington kind of silos its communication into all these different departments. There's not a real central cohesive communication strategy. And one thing that you could do to fix that is to hire a person or create a department that's in charge of sort of like centralizing all of that or making it more uniform. Does that seem like a fair summary?
That's 100% fair summary. I would say that being more professional communications for municipalities is something that started up maybe 10 years ago. We feel like that we're always able to provide the information on our website, et cetera. But I think what we've seen is that some of our departments are better than others in terms of embracing the more modern ways of communication that don't involve, hey, it's on the website, find it yourself, but more pushing the information out there in a more coordinated way. Again, we do have some departments that excel at it.
Yeah.
But again, no real surprises there. It's just trying to balance the demands of funding a position. Do we need a full-time position? I'm not sure about that now, but one thing that's very clear to me is that we could definitely need to look into how we can allocate more resources to professional communication so it touches all the different ways that our residents are seeking information in modern times.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I'm remembering, one of the points that the study was making was also that there's more of a push, or there should be more of a push towards taking initiative to reach out to groups that are not necessarily as clued into what's on the website, whether that's people who speak languages other than English, newcomers to the community, I don't know, just different folks who haven't traditionally been reached by the way that we've been communicating in the past. So does that strike you as requiring a different kind of outreach, or how do you think about that piece of it?
I just think, communication is really hard, and you got to work really hard at it to be great at it. And, for our department heads that are running departments, it's difficult to be an outstanding communicator and run your department too. And I can speak to that. I think, throughout my scholastic career, I was always told that I was a pretty good writer, and so I feel like that I can actually write well to communicate, but communicating under duress, as we really learned during the pandemic, try writing, an informative memo about something that's going on, and you need to make sure that it's accurate and has the right tone and everything, but you only have 15 minutes to get it out there. That's a whole different ball game. I feel like I can write, but it takes me some time to do something that's thoughtful. And, you know, someone who's good at it can put it together really quickly. And again, this was really highlighted to me personally during the pandemic as we were trying to communicate to our employees, communicate to our residents. Trying to do that under duress is a real talent.
Yeah.
And again, I think all of our department heads are good when they have the time to put into it, but again, just to have something that's coordinated. Here's what we're doing. Have somebody that knows what you want for tone, who you want it to go to, what outlets to get it to. You know, I think that will benefit us overall as an organization. And again, we do have some departments that are already really communicating at a top level, but not all of us.
Yeah,
myself included.
So, I mean, okay, so I heard you saying maybe a full-time position. You're not sure if that's necessary. The report has been out for a couple of weeks now. How are you digesting it? What's your next steps?
Well, we'll continue to discuss it as we, you know, talk about next year's budget. You know, there's a lot of demands for unlimited amount of demands on a limited amount of funding. So we really have to make thoughtful decisions. There's a lot of requests for sustainability coordinators, transportation planners, and a lot of different needs of the town. So we have to really take them all into consideration, try to balance out the needs. And again, if you were to ask me, I'm a little bit of frugal. You know, I always like to think we want to, you know, dip our toe in and see how it goes. You know, my recommendation wouldn't be for a full-time employee at this time, but maybe there's a way to do that through a PR firm or a contract, or, you know, I'm not sure what the market is for part-time folks to do this kind of stuff, but maybe there's an opportunity there to give it a shot with less of a commitment than creating a full-time job year-round. So that's sort of what we'll be evaluating in the upcoming year.
And forgive me, is this something that if you know, when you sort of come up with a plan, if you come up with a plan that you want to move forward with, that would probably have to go to town meeting to get, you know, to fund a position or that kind of thing, is that right?
Absolutely. And, you know, new programs are the ones that get the most scrutiny. So, you know, you'll have to run the gauntlet the first time through until everybody got sort of comfortable with what the plan was and what we hope to improve with allocating those dollars to this function. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Paul, those are my questions for you. Thank you so much for coming in.
It's my pleasure. Try to stay cool today.
Yeah, you too. All right. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Sydney Bowles. I've been here with Paul Sagarino, and I'll see you again next month.